should be getting underway pretty shortly. What are you looking for from the uncle today, Ari? What are we gonna get?
I always love an early bow, but as long as it's not either of the two canes, then I think I'll be happy.
Well, Uncle has confirmed that this seed is the worst, so buckle up, everybody.
And we know it's not the sword from the uncle, so we got that going for us. It is going to be a little bit out of the ordinary.
Well, this seed is not the worst because they've got bombs already, so I'll play this seed any day of the week.
Yeah, give them to me. If I get to see something like this later on, I'll be happy. Just go for a sub-6 escape.
Won't need to do very much farming, if any farming at all. Some of the weapons the uncle can give are kind of difficult to farm bombs with, since that's priority number 2 in the escape, get some bombs. We've already got that out of the way. And we're going to get some Samaria strats today.
Alright, well, Mire is... I mean, it's not super exciting, but it is relatively comfortable.
Not having to farm bombs, probably the best part about Samaria. It's not the easiest farming weapon that you can get for this for the escape here. So that's nice. You know, you can kind of move through these rooms relatively quickly. There's some swag strats you can bust out with the Cane of Samaria, but nothing that really speeds this up too much. So having the 3 bombs already is going to let the runners just kind of go pretty normal, get through these rooms, collect their keys, rescue Zelda, and move on with their seed.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I like to see Ganon of Samaria is like slow and steady. You're not using a lot of magic. If you want to, you can farm a lot if you need bombs or anything else. But it's not going to like blast you through escape.
Yeah, it's no faster than any other items, so just slow and steady. It's relatively safe if you go slow enough. If you try to do Samaria strats too quickly, you could run into some problems just with block placement. You can get kind of beat up, especially with that ball and chain guard. Can be a little tricky. You see Zephlar in this first key guard room having a little bit of problems, but again, so safe. Just play it safe, take it easy. Can't have too many problems.
Yeah, exactly. We are seeing some slight divergences in movement already through escape. You're going to notice that BigDunka might have a little bit more experience with how he traverses through escape, taking a few more optimized lines, while Zephlar is taking a few broader strokes. You'll see that this might have quite an impact over the course of the seed, but eventually it is routing that is going to matter a lot as well.
Yeah, certainly seconds lost in escape count the same as seconds lost everywhere else. We are picking up a fairy in a bottle here in the second key guard room. That's a nice safety to have pretty early.
Yeah, as long as you don't hope to have to save warp or death warp at some certain point and get revived.
Yeah, definitely something you want to keep in mind that you have throughout the seed. Dunka goes with the 2 pots against the ball and chain guard. That's a pretty good strat. Samaria strats can be a little tough to use against the ball and chain guard here. Picked up blue mail in Zelda's chest, another very nice early item. So with a fairy in a bottle and blue mail, that can be a big load off your mind for some of the early things that a seed can force you to do.
Yeah. Just a few more hearts and they'll be set for the coming while. There are still some dungeons that you would like to have maybe a bit more safety, but we should be doing well.
Definitely worse items to find in the escape than what we've found so far, so. Not to mention having that Cane of Samaria, most seeds, it's going to be a required item, so even though it's not the greatest weapon to have, you'd rather have it than have to go find it later.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The 2 items that I would like to see early are definitely like the bow or the cane. So having one of those 2 out of the way already is very nice.
Exactly. So you see Dunka's really just flown through the escape. With those 3 bombs from that first chest in Link's house, he has not had to farm a single enemy. He has not killed a single enemy he hasn't needed to. So he's really making really good time through here. Zephlar not too far behind him. You know, had maybe a couple extra seconds in some of these rooms, but staying right on Dunka's trail. This is a nice speedy escape we're seeing from both these players.
Yeah, definitely. Zephlar has been keeping up pretty well after the start. Not even taking the time to kill some of these robots. 3
Yeah.
bombs, more than enough.
Now, the ideal amount is 4, but I mean, the chances of them picking up at least a bomb drop in Kakariko and one of the chests they'll be getting there is pretty high. So most players, if they get a 3 drop from one of the chests in Escape, kind of call it quits on farming there.
Yeah, I think there's some different philosophies with how many bombs you're going to farm in order to get through Escape safely. Some people like to at least have 3 or 4. I personally even stop after 1. I just hope to get enough rupees or bombs on the way to Kakariko.
Yeah.
There's definitely some different philosophies that all have their pros and cons.
Yeah, for sure. One thing, watching a lot of the games in this tournament has shown how many people are comfortable with just 1 bomb. Personally, when I play, I tend to want to get a couple more, but it depends on the weapon a lot of times. This is a relatively new mode. I think a lot of people, from the beginning of this tournament to the midpoint of this tournament that we're at now, we're still kind of figuring some of their own preferences out. You run into situations in this mode that you really didn't run into very much in open or even the regular casual standard mode.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how the meta in a way has evolved over the course of the weeks, and even how routing has progressed. In earlier stages, it seemed like the Sphere 1 locations had such high worth that you would even full clear it out before heading into maybe the Dark World. But now you see that different strats all have their worth, and sometimes you don't have to have such a big focus on the early stages of the game.
Yeah, and speaking of version 29, one of the hallmarks can tend to be a very stacked escape, but we really didn't see too much of worth in that back. Just a couple pieces of heart, not that many rupees. Beyond that cane and the blue mail and I guess the bottle, pretty minimal utility pulled out of that escape.
Yeah, we opened up a mini fetch quest with the bottle, but aside from that, we don't really have any progression.
Got one of the best bush crab rewards, though, for the early game. Single bombs from the bush crab. Great to farm as you head into Escape, especially when your only weapon is still the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, you definitely don't mind seeing that. And you also don't mind seeing nothing on the Lumberjack Cave. They won't be coming. They won't be killing the wizard for the reward today.
Now, this doesn't let them off the hook with Aghanim, but always nice to see that that's not going to be required right off the bat.
Oh boy. Speaking of fetch quests.
Sounds like we're going to be going on a fetch quest tour pretty shortly, picking up that shovel at the mushroom spot. Again, not so bad to find that early in a seed. It can be a little annoying to find later when you don't necessarily want to go down and do that, but with none of the overworld complete so far, it's not the worst thing to find.
Yeah. Ideally, you want to do it with the Dark World Southern Loop when you have the mirror, so you can link it together with Stumpy, but doing it on the way from race game is not the worst.
Yeah, I think that's really become the standard. If you pick up the shovel before you're done with Kakariko, most players will go down straight to that shovel spot after doing the race game. And I would expect that to be what both these players do, but let's see what else they find here in Kakariko.
Yeah, this is where the big hoard of items is. You can say whatever you want, but this is usually where you get the main feeling of how the seed is going to go.
Right away, we've got a pretty nice item to find here in Kakariko, the flute and the tiny shield. So we'll be releasing that duck pretty shortly. And they'll have a lot of mobility to start out. That's a nice item to find very early on, and it's going to help them clear out a lot of this early overworld a little faster than if you had to walk all over the place.
Yeah, definitely encourage you to go to some further locations than you usually would. Things like Archwell Cave or even going to the fake flipper spots is a lot more bearable when you don't have to walk all the way.
Yeah, really underrated effect on early game routing, I think the flute has. You see the red boomerang here in the well. That'll help with some menus, but not much else.
Yeah, it's definitely the inferior boomerang, but oh, look at that. Oh, that's the mirror that we talked about earlier.
Talk about a nice item to find early, that mirror. Mire just makes your early Dark World routing come together so much better. It's one of the best items you can find at this point in the game, even though it's not really going to do much for you till you can get to Dark World.
Yeah, exactly. You really want to find it before you do any of the Dark World stuff. Being able to link K45 and eventually the shovel spot makes it so much more bearable.
Ooh, and we've got the hammer in the chicken hut, so we've got a little bit better of a weapon than the Canis Samaria. And that's 1/3 of Dark World access for Dunka. He did forget to activate his flute. He's going back up to do that now. So we've got some synchronized duck calls going on.
What the hammer means might actually be like the entirety of Death Mountain at this point. We have the flute to get onto Death Mountain, and with the Mire and the hammer, you can get to the east side.
Yeah, there's no shortage of chests available to them right now.
I do expect both of them will do the South Shore stuff first, but we never know if we get some early divergence.
You see Zephlar going for that chicken clip while BigDunka picking up the first medallion of the seed. That's Quake in the back of the bar.
I think Dunka's forgetting about Sick Kid.
He did get that bottle very early. It's sometimes tough. We get a map check there from Zephlar. We had crystal 6 in Eastern. Looked like the blue pendant in Desert and a regular crystal up in Hera.
And that definitely incentivizes you to go to Hera early. We don't have a fire source yet, so we might get locked.
Ooh, that's actually a significant item that Sick Kid had there. 300 rupees that Dunka has skipped out on by just momentarily forgetting he picked up that bottle. It was very early in the season. Sometimes those non-progression items you pick up during the escape can slip your mind for a little while. Hopefully he remembers at some point. With that mirror, he's got plenty of opportunities to turn that in again, but you hope that that 300 rupees doesn't get in his way with any of this other early game routing.
Yeah, if Zora locks something important, then it might be quite a while and quite a bit of farming before you actually head that way.
Yeah, Zora could lock an item. You could want extra money when you land in the Dark World for doing some of the paid chest checks if you're trying to go into pod or trying to do the digging game. We see Dunka immediately fluting, not doing the South Shore. He's going right up Death Mountain.
That's a gutsy play, but I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't find anything down on that South Shore that makes his routing up here a little bit more efficient, this is a fine play. He can get into Hera. Might not be able to full clear without a fire source, but with that early flute, a lot of times, oh, he's going to pick up a sword up on top of Spectacle Rock there. A lot of times with that flute, you'll just come up here thinking, I'm not sequence breaking my way up the mountain, so maybe I'm not supposed to have that fire source right now anyway. We'll see where Zephlar goes. He's fluting right now.
Fluting to 4.
Looks like he's fluted to 4, forgetting he could flute to just 7. We're getting a map check from Dunka. It looked like the green pendant was up in Skull Woods, and Crystal 6 was at Pod? Maybe I missaw that.
Gotta get a quick recheck. No, it was actually also the red pendant at Pod. And
Something red at Pod. I was close.
And Thiefstown was the other Pyramid Fairy crystal. And that's one you don't mind seeing.
Definitely not. Crystal Thieves, always very nice. Seems like it's going to be early part of your route, no matter what kind of route you do in the Dark World. So we've got Zephlar down here on the South Shore while Dunka is in Hera. We're going to see what Dunka has chose to put off down here as he goes through the game's first dungeon. Getting that big key means he can progress through to the Moldorm fight.
Yeah. The only scary part is that you might actually have to leave the basement for later if you find there's an item there and you don't have a fire source yet.
Always the worst feeling.
It's almost akin to having the Thiefstown big chest locked out to you.
Now the good news is this early in the seed and having the mirror, it won't be too hard to route back in if he has to go to the basement.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
And picked up 50 rupees there from that chest. He'll be dropping down to the big chest now, doing it the vanilla way. There's a bomb jump.
Safer.
Yeah, bomb jump you can do there, but it's very painful to not get that bomb jump correctly. You'll fall 2 floors with most setups. And we do have a fire source down at the south shore from Zephlar there in Mini Moldorm Cave. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Moldorm drops this second item or not.
Yeah, that could be pretty relevant.
Zephlar definitely following the standard routing. Dunka a little bit more non-standard, although again, it's not necessarily any worse. We see some hammer strats here against Moldorm. The hammer hitbox is infamously finicky, making this fight not such an easy one, but Dunka handles it pretty well there. Got 3 nicely timed hits. Not the best Moldorm patterns, handled it very well, and only gets the compass, so he will be leaving an item in that basement that Zephlar is headed to, likely, very shortly.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Zephlar skips the item in the basement. He also gets the old man right now, which Dunka had to skip because of no real sword and no light source. And that's the mushroom. Oh man.
There's all of our fetch quests.
And I know this has become quite a meme, but right now the fake powder is actually open to Zephlar because he has the way to get to the bat and he has the gain of smart.
Exactly. If he knows that glitch, he can basically accomplish all of his fetch quests for the seed relatively early here.
But really, doing South Shore first certainly has its merits because there is more to unlock on Death Mountain with different items than you would be able to do on the South Shore. And that is something that you might want to take into account when routing like this.
Definitely. Skipping South Shore can be more painful than delaying your Death Mountain trip in this instance. I did see the blue cane there for Dunka at the end of a slow walk through Spiral Cave. The one thing Zephlar did not do on the South Shore, though, was Ice Rod Cave. He immediately fluted up here from Mini Moldorm, so we haven't seen what is a relatively high percentage location in this version from either player just yet.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at that too. Yeah, if you want to do the Sphere 1 locations first, I think you should be pretty thorough with them. With only finding the lamp in the Mini Moldorm Cave, I would feel pretty incentivized to actually look a bit further.
Yeah, it does not take much longer. You can flute to 8, walk straight up there, and if there's, say, a lift upgrade in Ice Rod Cave, you could be leaving some chests up here that you could have done the first time.
Especially if you find another lift upgrade right here in Death Mountain. There's only 2 chests left here.
Oh, but there's the bow and the Master Sword for Dunka at the end of his East Death Mountain swing.
Those are 2 very nice items to find. But will he go into South Shore first, or actually go straight to Eastern Palace?
He looks like he couldn't decide himself. He's headed over to Sahasrahla and Eastern.
Alright, so he is going to sequence break. He doesn't know that it's not technically a sequence break at the moment, because Lamp is available, but I am kind of surprised that he's putting off South Shore for so long. I guess he maybe wants to link it together with the Dark World South Loop, go Hype Cave into Mini Moldorm Cave or something.
And honestly, that's maybe a likelihood that he'll be able to do that, depending on what's here in Eastern. Not having found a lift upgrade anywhere else yet, he could get one right here. He gets the hook shot, which actually does not open anything else to him right now. Nice item to find, though, in the back of Sahasrahla's closet. And he's going to be going right into Eastern Palace.
Wow, that's actually pretty foreboding, because we're only a Moon Pearl and a glove upgrade away from Dark World, but we're actually in no mode for getting to Aghanim and getting our Dark World access that way.
And neither one of you are going to want to do that.
We still need the Moon Pearl, obviously, but that is something, that is a likelihood at this possibility. With getting that hook shot, you can get to the rest of the Dark World.
With Dunka and Eastern, Zephlar's on his Hammer Moldorm. He's one hit away from taking him down, but gets a little trolled there. Was not getting a very friendly pattern from him on any of those cycles. He's going to go back up and give it another try. Again, this is a tough fight to get down there. This is one that requires a lot of practice. There are hammer strats against almost every boss in the game. And this is one of the more finicky ones that just requires familiarity with the fight to really get to a place that you're really comfortable with it.
Yeah, Moldom is one of the more mobile fights. Oh no, it takes a middle hole fall. That is really rough.
And that's one of the worst parts about it, is you have to be so close to him in this fight, and that middle hole fall is one of the worst things that can happen to you in Moldorm. Makes you fall 2 flights. He'll have to walk back up and give it another try. Luckily, with Blue Mail, and he did knock the safety switch, so he'll be able to refill on hearts even if he keeps falling, but it's never a good feeling. You're in a 1v1 race. It's the first boss of the game, and it's a kind of trolly one that's given Zephlar a couple problems so far.
Yeah, if you had something like the Master Sword, it wouldn't, you might fall back to spin strats, even though it's maybe a little bit slower. But with the Farther Sword, you really don't want to enrage Moldorm, get into the 5th hit. Oh, that was a nice last hit right there.
Really, very, very good third fight there. Gets his revenge. Got much nicer patterns from him, too, so takes him down, gets his compass. We're going to be seeing the basement item from him, the one that we did not see from Dunka without that fire source.
Dunka hasn't found anything in Eastern yet, as far as I know, so we'll be doing some dark rooms right here.
With any sword, this is certainly not the hardest dark room in the game. With Master Sword, definitely. With Hookshot, as we see, kind of a combination of all these items helping Dunka get through here much quicker. This is usually the first dark rooms in the game that players will learn once they decide to take on the challenge of learning dark rooms.
Yeah, because it's accessible so early, like from the start, and more often than not, you actually don't have the lamp at this point. You'll familiarize yourself with these dark rooms very quickly.
Yeah,
but
by
it's
far
really worth it.
By far the most useful dark rooms to know in the game. Dunka took a few hits there and did not pick up the extra hearts. He's going to go into this second dark room with just a heart and a half. And depending on his preferred strategy in this dark room, it is possible to take a couple hits here. He's going to have to be a little careful.
He does have the fairy.
And he's going to grab a fairy here before he goes. And that's probably smart. It's pretty easy to get a little turned around or a little trolled by a lot of random enemy movements in this dark room and just take a couple hits. So he fills up. He does have the safety fairy, like you said. Looks like, just like he forgot about that earlier, I forgot about it again.
Yeah, having Sword Beams here is very nice as well.
Yeah, really good, really smart, knowing if he just fills up with the fairy, he's going to be able to do it. And just a big 20 there in the basement for Zephlar, so that may weigh on Dunka's mind until he's able to get up there and check it out again, but not missing anything just yet.
Dunka not picking up some extra arrows. He's only on 19. He needs at least 6 to get through the coming few rooms, and then 18 to kill off the armor, so you might have to pick up some extra pots on the way here.
And there still are 25 arrows here under pots in these last 2 rooms, so he can fill up a few times. As long as he knows that there are a bunch of arrows here.
Yeah, okay, he does see it. There's not much worse than running out of arrows on armors and having to slash them to death.
With some top right strats from Dunka. Fired 1 too many arrows. He's going to get the 3rd phase Angry Armos here. But handles it nicely. Picks up his 3rd item from Eastern. So Eastern Palace not having any progression whatsoever. We're still 2 items away from Dark World access.
Yeah, so we have logically, I think we only have a Gina left, and
some fetch quests as well.
Oh right, we still have the mushroom that the old man had. Going for the Ice Rod Cave before heading to Mini Molder Cave.
Not a sequencing that you see too often, but certainly nothing wrong with it at this point for Dunka. He's going to check both of them.
This is pretty spicy. I mean, technically we're 0 items from Dark World access, but we still don't have the Moon Pearl. So I would be surprised to...
Hey! Oh. We've got a vanilla Ice Rod. Another nice item to find. Doesn't exactly help them right now. And yeah, without that Moon Pearl, like you said, these runners will go to every location here in the Light World before trying Aghanim.
Yeah, I think lacking the Moon Pearl is... It really makes you not want to go to Aghanim. Because it's such a waste of time if it is in one of those random one-off locations.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got, say, just Zora left, and you're still lacking the Moon Pearl, you'd rather go all the way to Zora to check to see if the Moon Pearl is there, rather than do all of Aghanim to check to see if the Moon Pearl's on the ledge.
Exactly.
It looks like Zephlar is going to turn in that mushroom, but he may have realized he can go fake powder, and he is headed that way now. So that's very good awareness by Zephlar before turning that in. Just get this other fetch quest out of the way early, just in case it's something helpful.
Yeah. Good heads-up play, realizing that it is something he can do right now before handing it in.
Looks like didn't quite pause fast enough. We don't have his sound, but if you use the Samaria, use the Cane of Samaria when you have no magic and menu within a couple frames of that. If you use the mushroom coming out of that menu, you will activate. The game will think that you've powdered, basically, because it's the same menu slot. And we've got some more vanilla item location. Half magic from the bat, which is a nice item to find at this point in the game, so Zephlar can't be too disappointed with that minor sequence break.
I would be super happy to find out early on.
Dunka has completed his entire South Shore. He's headed over to Agina's cave now, which is pretty likely to have something at this point, honestly.
There we go.
And there is our first lift upgrade. Still no Moon Pearl.
Yeah, right now we only have Zora Extra and Logic. That's the only thing I unlocked, I think.
You would be correct, yes.
Yeah, picking up the old man. Getting his mushroom, so he'll probably do the same things right now. Only a full heart from the witch, so...
This is Zora or Aghanim. Unless I'm forgetting something.
Then we will both be forgetting it right now, so...
Well, if that's the case, chat's going to let us know very quickly, but I think we're looking at either Zora, which both these players have enough money for, or Aghanim. It's curious to see now if Dunka... Oh, he may be going up to make sure he has not left the Moon Pearl in the Hera basement.
Alright, yeah. He doesn't know about that.
Or, also possible... Well, nope, that's definitely what he's doing. He's got nothing else up here.
Yeah, you would think that he might be able to do Spike Cave, but we still don't have a Moon Pearl, so
yep.
That's not gonna happen.
Hopefully he's not on the way to do Spike Cave.
I even think they might be going to do some sequence breaks, do Hobo, do Pit. Well, they can't actually do Waterfall Fairy because they don't have the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, this is one of those awkward spots. This is kind of what we were talking about. I would imagine both runners will clear out everything they have remaining, because Dunka still has to, if he remembered about Sick Kid, go do that. He's got his mushroom he hasn't turned in yet. Don't know if he will do the fake powder like Zephlar did. So we'll see these runners kind of retracing each other's steps, but I would be surprised if either makes the play on Aghanim before clearing all these other items out and then going to Zora.
Yeah, if something like the hammer or a lift upgrade was missing, again, you would be incentivized to do it earlier, but with the Moon Pearl, it's such a big risk.
Yeah, as long as it takes to get to Zora, just Zora, it still takes longer to do all of Aghanim Tower. Especially
with their current equipment, they don't really have anything that clears out the red cards in Aghanim Tower really quickly.
Yeah, you could see some Ice Rod strats, but that's about it. once they have access to the Dark World, they actually have a good number of progression items and useful items and things that they're going to be able to do in that Dark World once they get access to it. But
Yeah,
this is one of those seeds. It's just taken a long time to get to that point.
yeah, you're right. Once we are in the Dark World, you can go south. You can even full clear pod if you want to. You can go south, go to the Hype Cave with the hammer.
We do see Dunka doing the same play as Zephlar. Early on, if you can do this, some runners, if it's a late mushroom, will just turn in the mushroom thinking that might be where their late progression is. But this early on in a seed, it's such a good idea to get this out of the way. That way, whenever you find that powder, maybe 30 minutes from now, you know that it's nothing. Or in this case, you know that it was the half magic.
Yeah, it's just also the information. If it is progression and you do find the powder at some later point, you know where it was locked and what it exactly was locked by.
And since Dunka did not go and check Sick Kid, I'm going to say that he's really still just kind of forgotten about that location. Otherwise, I don't see any reason to not do that when he was just over there. So it looks like he's... Maybe at some point we'll remember and panic a little bit, or maybe he won't remember at all, and it's not going to bite him this time. We know it was nothing of real significance, since he has his 500 rupees. If this was something where the Moon Pearls are going to be on Zora and he was 300 more rupees short, he'd certainly be kicking himself later for missing that, but it doesn't look like it's going to really be too painful.
He might be strapped for cash if he wants to go into Paths of Darkness after Aggro.
That's about the only problem he might have, because this isn't going to be all of his money. And he will be arriving in Dark World, assuming this is the Moon Pearl, he will be arriving in Dark World with the resources to do pod. He just won't have the money to open it up. Which can sometimes be frustrating. A lot of runners won't even look at their rupee count when they land in Dark World. They'll just go straight up there and then realize, oh, I need 70 more rupees to get in here, don't I?
Yeah, let's look at the stump price. Oh, it is a single rupee. This is going to take a while. But we'll get our answer soon enough whether or not we actually have an Aggro required seed or not.
Yeah, this is it. It is either Moon Pearl here at Zora or something at Zora that leads to Moon Pearl. Or they're going to have to go and pull something off of the pyramid ledge.
Let's find the book.
Nobody wants to see the book. Nobody ever wants to see the book.
Ooh, that lag.
Ugh.
That's very painful.
This screen can get pretty ugly. Fireballs and water physics and Zora's popping out of the ground.
There it is.
Zora has our Dark World access. Very relieved for these runners to not have to go and do Aghanim, and that is also why you do everything before going and doing Aghanim when you don't have the Moon Pearl. So hopefully Zephlar realizes that Zora is in logic, and he needs to go do that before doing Aghanim, or he may be very disappointed if he chooses to do the other. I believe that's all he has left once he's out of Eastern here.
Yeah, he has to go to Agina's cave first.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Get the gift upgrade. I mean, you could technically fake flipper to Zora as well, but I would assume he'd do the things that are in logic first. Just it's not too far away to keep firing the arrows at the icon. It does go into Armus Knights right now.
We got Dunka headed into Hype Cave. He's going to want to find some rupees here. Maybe he's looking at his rupee count and realizes that he can't quite get into pod yet. But he wants rupees, and the Fire Rod, and the Ether Tablet. Or the Ether Medallion. So not a bad Hype Cave there. Anytime you find Fire Rod this early in your Dark World trek, can't really complain about it.
Yeah, I think Dunka actually has a pretty rough choice right now, because he has two pendant dungeons that are wide open to him, with Pod and Skullwoods. Of course, he also has Thieves Town, but I would assume he goes and full clears that first.
And he's not going over to Pod. Maybe he realizes he has the money. He's headed over on this western swing, but he can only get 2 of these items because he doesn't have enough money to play the digging game. We'll see if he gets bailed out by Stumpy, and he does.
He does. Otherwise, you can always play the digging game outside of the digging game.
Exactly.
To find some extra rupees.
His own version, the free version of the digging game. Start his own bootleg dig game. So he's checking K45 now, and then he'll head over to that. It's a very healthy seed. He's got another heart here. 11 hearts in 35 minutes. Not too bad.
Yeah, decides to pick it up. If I find full heart containers in an easily accessible spot, I'll always pick them up.
Almost no reason not to for 5 seconds of your time. Zephlar's going to pick up his lift upgrade here, and then he's going to have a decision to make. Let's hope he makes the correct one. He needs to go to Zora to pick up that Moon Pearl. That glove hopefully sends him there because that unlocks Zora, and it's actually the only thing that the glove unlocks for him right now.
Yeah. We're also only flippers away from having the entirety of Swamp Palace unlocked. Okay, it looks like Zephlar is going to fake flipper. Maybe first to Hobo and then to the rest, like then to Zora.
Dunka digging everything, digging this whole man's yard up here for the cape. A nice safety to have. Certainly nothing wrong with that. Zephlar doesn't look like he's going to do any fake flipper. He's just using the portal to get up here a little faster.
Yeah, if you're not combining it with the mushroom, this is definitely more efficient.
So if you look at these two players' inventories, there's a lot of items checked off so far. Despite having just arrived in Dark World a couple minutes ago, they are not missing very many more items in this seed.
Currently, it looks like mitts and flippers.
Yeah, bombos could be required, boots could be required, but we could be extremely close to go mode already.
Yeah, the main issue was just getting to the Dark World at this point.
That sounds very V29 to me. Zephlar picks up his Moon Pearl. He's got his Dark World access. He'll be probably following the same path as Dunka. I think that's a pretty standard Dark World opening, Hype Cave, and then up here into Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, definitely looks like it. Dunka probably doing the free locations outside of Evestown first and hope to find the boots.
Dunka has also made it through any of his potential money problems that he might have had. He's got enough money for really everything he's going to want to do in the near future now. So if he wants to go over to Pot after this, he can. The only thing he doesn't have money for now is any potions he might want to buy. But with that fairy in a bottle and half magic, there shouldn't be too much potions purchased in this game. And now he's got extra money to do that too. So he's very poor when he arrived, and he's been nothing, just raking in the dough since he arrived here.
Zephlar going to pick up his Fire Rod and Ever Medallion as well.
And I gotta imagine it's just completely slipped Dunka's mind that he has that bottle, because he is, again, not mirroring over to Sick Kid, so... Not that he needs to, and certainly at this point all of his money problems have gone away, but just one of those things, very easy, again, to forget. When you get that item so early, you're not necessarily thinking about it.
Yeah, it's super easy to have those mind lapses.
There might be a moment of panic later when he finally realizes, but with the flute, even if he has to come back here and just check it one off when he remembers later, not the biggest time loss to have not done it yet.
Yeah, just a small heart attack at that point. once he sees the big 300 from the Sick Kid, he'll be relieved that there's the
Ooh, there's the mitts. And it's a vanilla dungeon. We've seen a lot of vanilla and almost vanilla so far. We are potentially just the flippers away from potential go mode.
That's pretty crazy. We already have 2 crystals as well.
Yeah, even though it took them a long time to get to the Dark World, it's not like they weren't accomplishing things while they were stuck in the Light World.
The flippers could be anywhere at this point.
Oh, and a sword. This seed is just one item after another.
It's pretty great.
But like you said, now they have almost the entire world open to them, with the exception of the flipper dungeons. And when you have Swamp Palace and Ice Palace crystals, and flippers are your go mode item, which we don't know if it will be, but potentially flippers as the go mode item, that is a glorious feeling.
Yeah. After Feast now, you have 5 dungeons to potentially go into. I would assume that Dunka goes and do the Mire shit area first, find out the medallion from Misery Mire, clear that out as much as possible, and hope to find the flippers, and then go into the Turtle Rock area, see if Bombos is required for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And at this point, if you're potentially one item from go mode, you want to find out if you're actually one item from go mode. So going down to Mire and seeing that medallion, taking a peek in Desert, or Desert's not even required, so we know that boots won't be needed to get into Ganon's Tower, and I don't think any player would bother searching for boots on the off chance that it's going to be Big Key on the torch or something like that. So you want to get those medallion checks out of your way. Don't even have to go into Mire at this point. Just want to kind of get the checks out of your way to see, am I really just the flippers away here, or do I need more than that? Because if it's Bombos and the flippers, then that changes how you route and how you attack this seed from here on.
Yeah, then you definitely want to be more thorough, considering there's 2 items that could be at any given location.
But yeah, this is kind of a dream seed so far, and it can very easily turn into a bit more of a nightmare. When you are just one item away, you can taste how close you might be to just being able to cruise through the rest of the seed. And the longer you go without finding that one potential last item really starts to weigh on you, because all you can imagine when you're one away is, my opponent has probably already found this item, my opponent went right to it, and I can't find it, and now I feel behind. So although it's been kind of a dream seed so far, if you don't run into the flippers sometime soon, it starts to get pretty stressful.
Oh, I know all about that.
We do have Zephlar making the other play, by the way. He's up in Skull Woods first, taking that Fire Rod, headed straight up there. Plenty well equipped for this dungeon with half magic and blue mail, plenty of hearts. Thieves Town, probably the easier dungeon of the 2 when you first land in the Dark World, but with the level of power both these players have so far, courtesy of this very kind seed, won't be a problem clearing that out. We got Dunka on the blind fight, completely scripted fight. We'll see how well he can stick to it.
The Fire Shield is actually one of the more useful items to have here.
Absolutely, saves you a lot of hits in this fight, especially if you have to do it on in any kind of lower percent scenarios. Can really save your bacon a few times.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty funny considering the bunny sprite from Ganondorf is the big pig. Zephlar going for a vanilla way to get to the big chest in Skull Woods.
And Dunka headed straight up there. Again, there's so much of the world open to him. He could do the entire Smith route. He could go straight up here to Skull Woods. He could go a variety of different places. Looks like he's going to give us a Cape Ledge check and then probably head into Skull Woods with Zephlar.
Yeah, that or go to Graveyard Ledge and then Flute away. I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Well, he's about to make his call, and he is not going straight into Skull Woods. He's going to go check out that Graveyard Ledge. This is a place that's, without the boots, a little harder to route in at any other point, so certainly very nice thorough routing still. You sometimes see players, when they get this close to a potential go mode, get a little less thorough in the hopes they can keep the seed moving fast. We see Dunka just sticking to his normal, not going to leave anything behind. I don't want to miss these flippers if they're right here for 30 minutes or whenever the heck the next time he'd come back, so.
Yeah, once you've cleared out most of this area, it's actually kind of rough to get back to areas like Graveyard Ledge. But not finding the flippers right here.
Still probably just worth it for the peace of mind alone.
Oh yes.
And he is going to flute away. You called this exactly. What?
I think he wanted to go one further.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he ended up where he wanted to go.
We're going to see what Mafila holds a little bit as well.
I actually, the more I think about it, I really like Dunka's route here, putting off Skullwoods, and we do have Ether for Misery Mire, so no Bombos required there as Dunka heads into the shed. We'll see if the shed holds all the answers today. When does it not?
Okay,
It does not today, so.
See, when you don't skip it, it has not.
I think that's the way every location in the game chat works. Just 5-hour upgrade on Mothiel there for Zephlar, so he's gonna pick up his green pendant. And continue on, probably turning that in sooner rather than later as Dunka goes to check Checkerboard Cave. We'll see if this is hiding anything today. And just 50 rupees there. So the more I think about this route from Dunka, first off, you don't want to jump into Green Pendant and Skullwoods if you don't have to. He's clearly trying to cut straight to just the required areas of this seed, and he can smell Go Mode potentially, you know, very close to it. He's going to jump in Mire here, and this is maybe a little bit of a surprise. You could very easily see him go up Death Mountain to check what that other medallion is first before doing any more dungeon dives.
I think the opportunity cost of going in here is actually pretty low, because it's super easy to get back to Mire. It only takes like 10-15 seconds extra to back to Mire, warp, and get to the entrance. I think just getting the information, whether or not you need bombos for Torok, is pretty important.
If you find flippers in the first chest here, it's a little bit of an awkward situation where you don't know if you need to pull the second item out of here or not. So even if he finds what he's looking for, it might actually still be a bit of an awkward spot. And like you said, if he just comes back at a later point, it's pretty quick. It's just a flute and one warp, and he's back here. But Mire not always any speedier in Go Mode than it is not in Go Mode, so it's, you know, depending on the key layout, he might not really be losing any or much time at all, regardless.
Yeah, you're just adding the Mire 2 room in this case, going for the main hub. But aside from that, if the big key is something like in its vanilla spot or in a far, like not in the first two chests, basically, you're not losing that much time.
Nice part about this Mire dive is they are pretty well equipped for the Vitreous fight. They have, or Dunka is at least. He's got his Tempered Sword, he's got a cape, he's got half magic, he's got a fairy in a bottle. Shouldn't be too much trouble, even without the silvers. You know, the best item you can have against Vitreous is silver arrows, but even short of those, Dunka should be able to make pretty quick work of the boss.
The funny part is, if you do Vitreous optimally with the Tempered Sword, it's actually not that much slower to just use Tempered Sword rather than silver arrows.
You did see the big key there in the North Torch room as Zephlar picks up his Titan's Mitts and finds himself potentially one item shy of Go Mode.
I wonder if BigDunka realizes that the vanilla big key spot in this case holds a small key. Or if he just hopes to not have to do this.
Your Mire routing. Everybody's got their own preference for Mire routing. A couple of tells on that left side help you avoid opening unnecessary chests. Ooh. Okay, and suddenly the Mire play looking very good at this point indeed. He pulls the boots out of the big chest.
Probably a good incentive to quickly check Desert Palace as well.
So now we know for sure that even if we need the boots, we've got them.
I don't expect we're going to see the newfound Mire glitch from Dunka.
Yeah, I don't know if he's had enough time to put any kind of practice into pulling that off where he'd feel comfortable busting that out in a tournament race, especially one that looks like it's going as quickly as that. You don't want to have to lose 10, 15 extra seconds.
Yeah, I fully agree. Oh, okay. Making the sensible decision right here.
I have seen some videos of the Mire rod glitch that was just discovered earlier today, saving a couple seconds in these switch rooms that Dunka is in right now, but I haven't had any time to put in any quick practice myself.
I gave it a few tries in the practice hack. It is surprisingly easy, actually, once you find out a safe routine to do a few slashes to time it properly. The way it works is that once we're done with, I guess I'll explain once we're done with BigDunka's fight right here, using nice cage strats to quickly get rid of the eyeballs.
Yeah, this is a nice mix between fast and extremely safe, just dashing with the cape, with the tempered sword, and then eight arrow shots. Sometimes fewer, depending how many times you dash through Vitreous. He gets his second item out of Mire, and he is done with that dungeon, and now he's got even more of the world open to him now with those boots.
Yeah, there's quite some easy spots to go to. Maybe checking Desert Palace once you're here already. And otherwise you have King's Tomb and Bunk Rocks open to you as well.
Yeah, and he does look like he's doing exactly what you said. He's going to go just peek his head into Desert.
But yeah, like Chet said, the explanation is basically that the game is weird, and there's a certain value that throwing a Samaria block into a pit sets to the maximum, and that way your lingering fire rod shot basically gets shifted 255 pixels upwards or something, and that hits the switch in the room above you. Just a small fiver on top of the torch, so we don't need the boots for Desert Palace.
Dunka just wants to find the second item here and get out.
And that was it.
He's gonna grab the big key, it looks like, while he's over here. Just in case he's gotta pull a pedestal at some point, I guess.
It's nice insurance to have.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a pretty quick grab while he's already in that room, and a little annoying if you have to come back at some point to pull a pedestal and you have to go all the way back to that side of Desert.
Zephlar going to Death Mountain before heading into the Mire area. I guess that makes sense as well. I'm not sure which one I would favor over the other.
Well, Dark Death Mountain is the highest concentration of items that we have left from a commentator perspective, so we'll see if the flippers are hiding up here. While Dunka checks the Bonk Rock spots and King's Tomb with his newfound boots, hoping these lead him directly to his go mode item or potential go mode item. But I don't think he's going to waste too much more time before getting up Dark Death Mountain himself to see, is he really just flippers away, and are the flippers there?
Yeah, I would assume so. It looks like that's what's happening.
Zephlar's going to beat him to these chests, though, and we'll see. There's a nice bomb refill when he had none, and the butter sword. So as if the seed hadn't been nice enough to our runners already, we've got even more firepower.
I assume both these runners are comfortable using silverless strats on Ganon as well, so I don't think they'll be looking for them.
Yeah, and while butter sword's nice, not too much difference between tempered and butter. Not a huge upgrade. Certainly not as significant as the upgrade from Master Sword to Tempered Sword.
Oh,
and there are the flippers, so if Turtle Rock is not Bombo's lock, we are in no mode.
I'll get your drum rolls ready. We're going to see it pretty much at the same time from both runners. It's Ether.
It is Ether, so BigDunka is going to see the good news when he completes his warp here, and as soon as he sets foot into Hookshot Cave, we're going to have both these runners in go mode at the same time.
Wow, that's a pretty crazy seed.
Now, the only downside for Zephlar on this is he's not going to find those boots, I don't think, because he fluted away from... he only opened the one chest there in Hookshot Cave. Dunka's going into Turtle Rock before going to Hookshot Cave.
I'm really not sure how I feel about this. I see multiple runners do something like this because
it's not.
Save it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if the flippers are in here, it does save a little bit of time, but go mode Turtle Rock is a little faster, not tremendously faster, but depending on these keys layout, it can be multiple minutes faster.
I just feel like the opportunity cost to check those 6 locations are so low.
Yeah.
That it's so worth it to check it before going to Turtle Rock.
He would only need, it would be the first chest that he checks to. It would just be that first chest in Hookshot Cave, and then he would know that he was in go mode. Now he's going to do all of Laser Bridge and check the rest of, the vanilla big key chest, and it's a couple minutes that he's going to lose here. And again, both of these runners are in go mode, provided there's no big key on the torch in Ganon's Tower. Zephlar is in go mode as well, and he's not really going to be opening too many more chests. The fact that he stopped opening chests in Hookshot Cave tells you he knows he's just going to go straight for all the crystals at this point.
Yeah, and it is a pretty nasty location for the boots to be in if they are required. It's not something that you would just check willy-nilly.
And since there's no chance he's going to open that chest, he's going to get the big key and go straight to Vitreous, so there's literally no chance of any different kind of routing in here leading him somehow to that chest.
No, I would not assume so.
Sometimes you'll have some chests that are right in your way that you can decide to... Ooh, we've got down to 1 heart there before grabbing that fairy. Sometimes there's a couple chests that are right in your way, or you might find an item while looking for a big key in a dungeon. You can just kind of run into an item like the boots when you're in go mode, but no chance of that in this case.
Yeah, and the boots actually help quite a bit in dungeons like Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, so I think Dunka will probably get a sizable lead from that.
There's also a comfort factor in places like Ganon's Tower where they don't exactly save a ton of time, but you're just so used to having them in a place like that at the end of the game that sometimes some of those strats you have for specific rooms don't exactly work as well.
Yeah, there's this long bridge right after Wizards 2 that are a pain without the boots.
You saw Zephlar grab the big key and then did not take a quick way to this room. He walked around a little bit, maybe kind of forgot his way through here, or didn't even realize maybe he picked up the big key, or kind of forgot he was in go mode. This is a sub 60-minute go mode for both these players. It's lightning fast.
Yeah, maybe not realizing the optimal routes through Misery Mire. It is a pretty confusing dungeon, to be honest. And you don't usually get to see everything.
I guess I actually am not even realizing Dunka's still not in go mode since he skipped those flippers for now, but he will be in go mode shortly after leaving Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if he
Yeah.
doesn't check those 6 locations.
And here's another little bit of time he's losing by checking Mimic Cave here, since he went straight into Turtle Rock. It's a very, it's a very aggressive play that he made, going straight into Turtle Rock, not checking those chests. I mean, he knows once he sees that he can open up Turtle Rock, he is 1 item from go mode, and he's saying, all right, it's going to be in this dungeon, and I have to do this dungeon anyway, and, that it's not necessarily a dungeon like Ice or Swamp, where you're just desperate to go mode it. So yeah. I can see the play, but it is certainly, and I think he would even tell you himself, it's an aggressive play.
Yeah, I think it's just a low risk, low reward play. Both ways make sense.
Yeah.
Zephlar does need to be a little bit careful. He has 2 hearts going into Vitreous. But again, with half magic in the cape, he should be pretty safe.
And I don't think he's used his fairy in a bottle yet, so he still has his fairy as well.
Yeah.
Zephlar's just going to use some spin strats here. Can be a little tricky to get the spins to work when you're invisible using the cape. You can't exactly see where your sword is, and you might run into an eyeball or two, but he takes care of all the eyeballs. Now he's just going to put 8 arrows into Vitreous himself, and he'll be done. Nice 1 heart fight. That was pretty safe with his current loadout.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dunka headed to Laser Bridge here. I wasn't paying absolute attention to the key layout, so I don't know if he would have been able to skip Laser Bridge entirely. I see he has a key, so that was probably... This was probably skippable. When Zephlar gets up here, I think that layout's going to mean he can skip all of Laser Bridge.
Oh, he still has the fairy, but does need to be careful. I think it was actually a key in the vanilla big key chest and in the big chest.
Oh.
Yeah.
So depending on how this is routed by Zephlar, it might not be a skippable. Well, he didn't get a key off of Laser Bridge, so...
Yeah, exactly. So you actually have to grab the big key chest. Or the big chest.
Well, if he steals a key, I think then that means there was a key in the roller room. So if he steals a key, he sees Dunka taking an intentional death, but I think he forgot about that fairy.
There we go. We were talking about it about an hour ago.
Maybe now he realizes he never checked the sick kid.
There we
He
go.
gives the intentional bonk out of anger there. So just not only blanked on the fact that he could check sick kid, just blanked on that bottle entirely. So again, that's going to happen. No matter how many seeds you run in this game, that's going to happen.
Maybe now he realizes it. Oh crap, I have sick kid.
Well, he might be a little panicked now, but he's gonna be relieved in 1 more chest check. See, Zephlar's decided to make Swamp his next dungeon. No boots in this dungeon, but it still will be pretty quick, since he will just be going straight to Argus.
Dunka actually has to be pretty careful. Only 4.5 hearts.
He does have the safety door now, having opened that door, so... If a disaster were to strike here, he wouldn't lose too much time, but never a good feeling dying against Trinex.
Yeah, he should probably be fine now. I think he's going to play this here. This bit safe, going for a single spin instead of the double. Alright.
Takes down Trinex. That'll be his 5th crystal. He'll just be a swamp clear and an ice clear away. I think you're gonna see these runners are very close right now, but those boots are just gonna be an advantage for Dunka with every passing minute in these dungeons, even though they'll be go moding, you know, as long as Dunka actually goes and gets the flippers now, I guess. But these runners pretty much have the same amount of things to do. Those boots are just really going to be an advantage. That there's no item Zephlar can find that are going to be as much of an advantage as the boots are for Dunka.
Yeah, agreed.
He's going to make us wait a little bit longer. He's going to do Super Bunny Cave first.
He's going to pick up the butter sword now. Yeah, I think completion-wise, I would still put Dunka quite a bit ahead of Zephlar. Just Zephlar does take quite a little bit to get through.
Yeah, Dunka's 2 dungeons he's going to have are going to go very quick. Zephlar will be doing those same quick dungeons, but he will have to full clear Turtle Rock. And there Dunka grabs his flippers. He's in go mode. About 10 minutes after, maybe a little less than 10 minutes after Zephlar, but the full clear of Skullwood Zephlar did, and the lack of boots, I think, have put him just a couple minutes behind here, and that lead for Dunka is going to grow. Not really any fault of Zephlar, but it's going to grow just because of those boots.
Yeah.
I think Dunka knows, you know, the only thing that can really hurt him. He's played the seed pretty nicely. It's been pretty kind to him. Put the items right in front of him. Just grab a quick safety here. Use the safety fairy. Why not have a potion? It only takes maybe 20 seconds to pick up. And he's going to start his dungeon diving in Ice Palace.
Yeah, these are going to be 2 really quick dungeons, and we'll be in Ganon's Tower soon enough, actually.
The amount of Dark World overworld done in this seed is close to a record, I feel like. I don't know if I've ever seen a seed where you had to do as little overworld in the Dark World as this seed.
Yeah, actually, that's quite true. They actually did do quite a bit. The entire South Loop, Feastown area. Dunka did Graveyard Ledge. So there's not that much left. There is the whole Smith stuff. Mostly the mid-slot locations that hasn't been done.
Yep. So Zephlar taking down Argus. He's got his 5th crystal.
Yeah, going to Ice Palace himself now. Oh, I'll get the stealth sit there.
Just a little too high, it looked like, on that bomb placement. That room can be a little finicky sometimes. Getting a
I know
little
all about that.
trolled in this room with the spikes and electrocution.
In my opinion, these are the 2 worst rooms in Ice Palace.
Yeah, there's definitely RNG elements in this room, and when it starts to go wrong for you, it can go really wrong.
Yeah, you do want to hit the switch when you're in go mode. Sometimes it makes sense not to go for the Ice Palace bomb jump, but here it definitely makes sense to go for it. And a really quick setup, very nice.
Yeah, really nice. Can sometimes be a little tricky, at least for me. It's a little tricky with that butter sword. It's not the easiest to... The contrast with the ground here in Ice Palace, not the same as it is with the tempered sword. But nailed it really quickly. Can't ask for much better than that.
A loose penguin, but hookshot makes everything really easy when it comes to killing these enemies in this dungeon. Ice Palace just feels so great to go mode.
Yeah, it's got nice execution rooms that feel good when you hit them correctly. You don't have to check any of the other extra rooms. No chests you're opening. There's nothing these runners could find, except for maybe the silver arrows that would save them any time. But with as many item locations as they're leaving behind, with only 1 item being out there that could really help them, they aren't really not going to be checking any extra chests at all.
I don't even think Zephlar checked anything in Swamp Palace.
Straight through.
Not having the boots.
Takes in a few hits, but with that butter sword, very satisfying fight when you get to fight Cold Stare with that butter sword. So BigDunka with just Swamp Palace remaining. Zephlar finishing up Ice Palace before he heads up to do Turtle Rock. And we saw with that key layout in Turtle Rock that it will be pretty much the fastest possible Turtle Rock for Zephlar if he steals a key and decides to skip the big chest in Turtle Rock.
No, he definitely does not want to skip the chest in Turtle Rock.
I think there has to be another small key there, though, or maybe I'm just forgetting something. Because if he steals the key, there would have had to be a key on... Oh, yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's that layout.
It's the exact layout. It's exactly opposite of what I'm saying. It's the only layout where you cannot skip the big chest.
Exactly, yeah.
So I would be in trouble in this seed, I guess, is my point. So it's actually the worst possible Turtle Rock for Go mode. Well, maybe not the worst possible, but not a good one.
It depends on how you usually route.
It'd be the worst for me. I don't know if it'll be the worst for Zephlar. See him taking care of Cold Stare. 3 slashes, gets him in the corner. Again, such a satisfying fight.
Yeah, it's definitely... It's probably one of the 2 fights where Buttersword really matters time-wise. That and Trinex, I think.
So we see Dunka here in his 7th dungeon. And both these runners are going to be in Gan's Tower at a very good time. The real only difference is that Zephlar full cleared Skullwoods and did not pick up the boots. And that's it. So this has not been a case of, you know, one player had some unfortunate deaths or misrouted or wasted some time. You know, had Zephlar started in Thieves and he picked up the Titan's Mitts there, I think he probably would have chose the same route as Dunka, which was skipping Skullwoods. But starting Dark World in Skullwoods, still not having a lot of access to a lot of the Dark World, you know, made a lot of sense starting where he did.
Yeah, I really don't think that either of the 2 routes were bad. I mean, they both had their merits. Zephlar did have the small issue with Mollern. There were 2 falls that did matter quite a bit.
Yeah, it did have some
Especially with a
issues.
short seat like this.
Although that was somewhat negated by Dunka having to double dip Hera, having been up there without the lantern his first time, and having to go back up there when they were still hunting for the Moon Pearl. So amount of time spent on Hera, probably pretty close to equal across the 2 runners.
That's true as well, yeah.
So yeah, just to clarify one thing I was saying earlier, because I see some discussion in chat, it is possible for Turtle Rock to be laid out in such a way that if you steal the big key from the Pokey prior to the vanilla big key chest, you can skip the big chest and find another key either in the roller room or on Laser Bridge. The only time that does not work is when the vanilla big key chest is a small key and the big chest is a small key, which is the exact layout we have here. So if you were to route this in the way that I'm talking about, you would end up having to go all the way back through the dungeon to get that second small key after completing Laser Bridge and not finding one. So we don't want Zephlar to do that here. We'll see. I don't know how he normally routes Turtle Rock in Go mode. We'll see what he decides on.
And with Dunka finishing off Argus here, I think we have to talk about a certain game that we like to play. Would you mind explaining it?
I think everybody's pretty familiar with this. There are 22 chests in Ganon's Tower. One of them has the big key. If you'd like to get your guesses in as to which chest will contain that big key, we play a little game here where we reward you with our eternal gratitude and love and respect if you're correct, and if you are a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming network of channels here on Twitch, or you have donated a total of 250 bits, you're eligible to get your name on the leaderboard that we keep through this entire tournament. So get your guesses in now. You have until the time that BigDunka enters. Hopefully somebody started the bot.
I just did.
All right, excellent. Get your guesses in now, and you have until the time that Dunka enters Ganon's Tower.
Okay, so I am really not sure. But I think that going up Death Mountain through the Light World and going through the Turtle Rock portal is faster than what he's doing right now.
I do think you're correct. For sure, maybe 5 to 10 seconds faster if the Turtle Rock portal is already open, and probably a little faster if you have to open the Turtle Rock portal. But just these, there's some long hallways here, even with the boots, running through them. Not as many, or far fewer screen transitions than you'd have to do if you climbed in the Light World and just jumped in the Turtle Rock portal. You do have to deal with dead rocks if you climb in the Light World, and if you hate dead rocks, then certainly feel free to climb in the Dark World and not have to worry about them.
That's true.
I don't think anybody out there actually likes dead rocks, so... And Dunka entering Ganon's Tower sub 115. This has got the makings of a very fast seed for both runners. And we have Zephlar is gonna open that door here. Not stealing his key. And he's actually taking the long way back. Looks like he's having a couple issues routing his Turtle Rock quickly.
Going right side with finding the small key in the first two chests.
There's I feel like there's two schools of thought on how to write Ganon's Tower. The people that never go right side first and the people that always go right side first if there's a key. It appears that Dunka belongs to that second class.
Yeah, I think it's just... This feels like a more conservative play. But I'm not sure what's statistically correct.
I think it gets a little trolled by the Gibdo there. He's gonna have to re-hit these blocks. I think mathematically it saves time overall to not do right side first, but it feels pretty bad when the key is over here and you leave it for last. So picking up powder, that's a nice final safety to get before climbing the gauntlet.
Yeah, definitely.
But no key, so we will be looking elsewhere for the big key.
Yeah, those were 6 locations already.
Boy, it's gonna feel really bad if it's up here on the torch. Not bad for Dunka, but just a bomb upgrade.
It is a bit gold colored, but not the big key that Zephlar is hoping to avoid under.
Zephlar gonna have to do some dodging here. Oh, he's stranded himself here. Hey, there's the big key.
That was number 10, I feel.
You are correct. Number 10. Always in the Stalfos room when you go right side, isn't it?
It always is.
So now we're entering the very execution-heavy part of this game. Ganon's Tower is a pretty action-packed dungeon. It's got a lot of fun execution, cool tech rooms, pretty much non-stop. Every room here, there's some kind of speed tech to do it quickly. Maybe a little frustrating without silver arrows due to some of these mimic rooms, and these are hard rooms to get down correctly.
Yeah, definitely. This is like the big test at the end of the game.
Zephlar took a little step off the ledge there. He's got his fairy. He also opened up the safety door just in case of any mishaps at Trinex. All things considered, he's not going to be too far behind if he can put down Trinex here on his first try.
Yeah, it's actually still pretty close. I thought it would be a bit less close than this. Duncan not going for the safety door right here. He still has a blue ball, I think.
Yeah, he did. He bought one blue potion. I think he still has that. And he did pick up powder, so as long as he makes it through these last couple gauntlet rooms, he'll have an opportunity to refill his health. Does take a BMO shot there, heading into the more dangerous gauntlet rooms here. Gets through gauntlet 3 very nicely.
Yeah, with half magic and fire rod, the gauntlet is not nearly as bad, but does need to be careful. I feel he'll just drink. Yeah, okay, he's just gonna go for it now.
I think he was a second away from getting shot by that BMO too, so that was... Maybe the iframes would have lasted long enough, I'm not sure, but good decision either way. Don't want to die in the gauntlet ever.
Even though a deficit cold star or something might feel worse, it's... mentality-wise, you don't want to get a definite gauntlet.
Any late death feels like it's unrecoverable. Early deaths at least are frustrating, but feels like, okay, I can recover from this. If you die at the end of your run, even if you're 20 minutes ahead or something, it feels unrecoverable at that point. Like a fall to Ganon. You're basically expecting your opponent to dot done any time from that point forward.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. I'm sure both of these runners are expecting a dot done at any point, considering how the how straightforward the seed has been with the routing.
I think Dunka feels pretty good about finding those boots. He's got to know if he didn't dive into Mire, he would not have found them. So that probably feels pretty good for him. But at the same time, sometimes the seed is laid out items in such a way that you feel great. Like, I found these and there's no way anybody could have done it faster. And then sometimes it's just all of the items were right in my way. You know, what if he went up Dark Death Mountain right after Thieves and I went into Turtle Rock first before I went to Hookshot Cave, and et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah,
the added stress of a 1v1 tournament race, I don't think you ever really feel great about your spot.
There's very little moments where I feel good in a race. So there's always the nagging thought, no way, my opponent did this way earlier. No, I mean, I nudged infinite times against doors. My opponent just executed perfectly.
You see Dunka here arriving at the top of the tower. We've got our second boss refight. This one, Moldorm 2, should be very quick. 2 slashes will take down, or in this case, a poke and a slash for Dunka.
Zephlar did not go right side.
He'll make up a little bit of time there. That was a nice 60-second save, going straight to the Stalfos room. Unfortunately, without some real shenanigans at Aga 2, well, that would be real shenanigans at Aga 2, but any issues with the Ganon fight for Dunka, I don't see this being anything that can be overcome.
Yeah, I don't think BigDunka will fail his geometry test this badly.
13 heart blue mail death to Aga 2 is pretty much on the verge of impossible. Ooh, almost got a very nice triple there. Starts it off with a double.
Another double?
He was very close to getting another triple there. He's got the angles figured out. But there's the blue balls we all know and love.
Okay, build out by the real Aga shot.
Does not get blue ball the second time there. He'll be headed into the Ganon fight, and this time on this seed, this has been, even for a seed that was pretty quick, Dunka has routed this as close to as reasonably expected as you could hope for. Minus that dive into Turtle Rock, which, as we saw for the key layout, wouldn't have really changed his time that much. I think he's pretty much done. There's not too much, I think, about this seed that he would end up changing if he could do it again.
Yeah, I agree.
Zephlar has 3 arrows left here, and he needs 3 more Mimics shots, so he needs to be very careful.
I really cannot miss anything right now.
Taking it very careful. It was very smart to just wait for the BMO there. Gets through it, so he'll be climbing the gauntlet. Meanwhile, Dunka is already through to phase 3. That Butter Sword makes such quick work of this Ganon fight.
Yeah, usually you would slather the pig with some butter and then like put a spike through it to roast it, but we don't have the silver spikes right now, so we're just gonna slather him some more in phase 4.
And with Have Magic, with a potion just as a... Or did he use the potion? He used the potion as a back. But with Have Magic, very comfortable silverless fight. Apparently the silvers were in Swamp Palace. Ooh, he takes the Fire Bat hit, but it knocked him backwards.
Ooh, did not get a torch glitch. With silverless fight, that might actually be pretty tricky. Not sure how experienced he is with this.
I know there are runners who, when they are in a silverless fight and they miss the torch glitch and they don't have any extra magic, will just jump off the edge. I think with Have Magic he can, he's a pretty experienced runner. He can try this. He definitely has enough magic to do it, as long as he doesn't miss his fire rod shots. You can feel a little bit of panic here. You don't want to have something go wrong here at the end of the game. We know he's got plenty of time, but I'm sure he feels like every second that he's missing these spins, his opponent is getting closer to finishing.
Yeah, I mean, this could matter. I mean, now that he went back to the lab, he shouldn't have any magic problems, but no.
It's very tough to get those double hits per cycle without using the fire rod, so it looks like he's going to try the fire rod a couple times here. We got Zephlar is on 1 heart in the Landmo 2 fight.
He doesn't have any safeties yet left, I feel.
I don't think he does. He's on now a half a heart here. Dunka managing to navigate through. Getting more doubles is good. He should just need a couple more hits now. And he takes down Ganon. Very nicely done. So I'm sure it got a little stressful for him on that fight, but he will be taking the win here. Walking across the bridge and finishing with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 49 seconds. Excellent time on what was a very fast but stressful at the end seed, both in finding the Go mode item and finishing that final fight.
Yeah, it took longer to get to the Dark World than it was to get your Go mode afterwards. That was pretty crazy.
Well, we have Zephlar continuing his precarious climb. This is probably the most dangerous room left. He doesn't want to take a misstep here and fall off the edge with his half heart.
Yeah, this could be pretty close. He doesn't have the powder that he got from... that Dunka got from the right side. So cool.
We'll see if BigDunka would like to join us here for an interview. And we'll see if Zephlar can manage to stay alive through these last couple of rooms. Might want to check these. Oh, what an item to find.
Yeah. Well, that was something.
Oh.
That was something. That was definitely something. Let me go in and talk to the boys, guys, and I'll be back in here.
I think we still got Dunka's audio on there.
Yeah.
Do we hear his first thoughts on this?
Sit tight, guys.
But it does sound like he'll be joining us for an interview.
And it looks like
guys.
He's right there. Yo, Dunka, GG. How are you feeling?
How was my
Oh, good game. I actually,
Any idea?
we have a storm that started coming through here about 20 minutes ago, and I was scared to death that something bad was going to happen.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, hold up.
How's Zephlar's doing? Where's
Sorry,
he at
guys.
right now?
He's just on his way to Agatu right now.
Oh, okay, yeah, so he was right behind me. Yeah, I missed torch glitch there. Bad. I hate it when Ganon goes to that bottom corner when you have to do silverless. It was, freaks me out that a fire bat's going to come straight up through there, but hopefully the I was thankful I found that half magic, and I thought about it for a second. I almost fell off and just restarted it, but in the end I was like, I think we'll be okay.
Where's he at right now?
Yeah, it's a little tired at some point, but overall you
Okay,
definitely got through it.
Behind me. Yeah, I missed
Yeah,
torch glitch there.
I think in the end the big thing was, all those items up front. Because like something had to be buried somewhere, and I put off going up there. I usually go up to there to I usually go up to the Turtle Rock area to see what the Turtle Rock pendant is, or not pendant, medallion is, before I really do anything else. And this time I didn't, and I went to I ended up going to Mire instead, and I was like, I might as well just do it here, and then I'll do Turtle Rock, and I'm like,
I think
it's safe a minute and a half if I don't check that instead of just full clearing T-Rock, and basically from Misery Mire on, I did everything back.
I usually go up to there.
I'm going to rudely interrupt you here, Dunka. We're having an issue getting your audio switched off, so if you could just mute your microphone on your stream for a little while so we don't get we're getting a bad echo. We still got your audio running here, apparently. We're having an issue getting it flipped over, so before everybody goes crazy, just
all muted up.
Perfect. So yeah, what a seed that was. I'm sure that's kind of like the dream and nightmare all in one. Finding all those items super early and then kind of having to hunt down your go mode, not knowing where the heck in the world it's going to be.
It's good news, bad news, because you know that something's going to be hidden when you get all those items up front. And I was praying that I would find flippers before I found Titan's Mitts, because that limited stick checks to almost nothing. And then, you see the Titan's Mitts and you're looking, you're like, well, everything is open, and you knew the flippers are going to be buried somewhere. The good news is that I knew that 2 dungeons were never going to be, obviously ice and swamp are going to be go moded. That's the good news. The bad news is that you've got 20 items in the overworld plus like 2 pendant dungeons I didn't step foot into, plus pedestal, plus Mire, plus Turtle Rock, and yeah, it was just one of those.
Yeah, so if we go back like that to 10 minutes in, or rather until you got to Zora, did you ever feel like you had money problems?
I luckily the Moon Pearl was the last item to find, so it made it so I wasn't going to fake Flipper, because I don't want to fake Flipper without the Moon Pearl, because then I'm only doing it for one item. It means I get to check a whole bunch of things, and I noticed, I can't remember what it was, there was one item that I got, or I can't remember where I went, and I found a 300 rupee drop, and I was like, okay, I'm good, don't have to worry about it anymore. I'll do Zora when I finish this route. And but for a little bit it was, I think when I was down at excuse me, Ice Rod Cave, which Ice Rod's lovely there, I think I was short at that point on rupees, and I didn't even have the glove yet to try to farm them there from the cave. So I know I didn't have them at that point, but I think I got them shortly after.
Yes, you were 300 rupees short until that 300 rupee. Would you like to know where you could have picked up 300 rupees very early on in your route?
Did I miss something?
We never visited a certain lazy child in Kakariko.
Oh my god, did I skip that?
Yeah, you did.
Oh my god. So, you know what it was, is I went to do the chicken hut and realized I forgot to do my, usually on my tracker, I just mark all that stuff off because it's all on routine. And then I forgot my flute, and I turned back around and turned my flute in, and then I ran down to the tavern. Oh my god, that would have been horrible.
Yeah, that would have been 300 rupees. Not as bad as it could have been, certainly. But 300 rupees there, sitting. We were a little worried, especially because it looked like the seed was pointing towards Zora as you guys checked more and more things, and you took kind of some divergent routes. Obviously, you put off the South Shore for a while, went up to Hera, had to double dip Hera to get that basement item out of there as you were running out of places. But we were a little worried you might have to go farm some rupees to get to Zora. Luckily, it worked out, and I think you actually completely forgot about the fairy in a bottle entirely because you had a death warp you tried, or not a death warp, but an intentional death you wanted to take in Turtle Rock there that you ended up reviving from on the ferry. So I think it just it was one of the first items you guys picked up, and it just sort of slipped your mind that it was there, and certainly that happens to everybody who runs this game.
Oh yeah, and I did a penalty bonk based off of that.
Yeah, we saw. So other than the mist torch glitch, I'm sure you were kind of sweating that one out a little bit, especially a seed that's as fast as that. But how about those boots?
Those were great.
When you made the decision to dive into Mire before going up Death Mountain, we kind of we thought that was a bit odd, and it paid off so well in the fact that obviously you're never finding those boots if you come back in go mode, which you would have if you went up the mountain the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it did send me off a little bit. I checked a few areas that I didn't need to check, but yeah, I mean, obviously you're never going to turn down boots, especially when you still have half hour, 40 minutes to finish. So
yeah, one other strange, not necessarily strange, but you went up to Turtle Rock, missing only the flippers, and you opened the portal and went inside, and you decided, as Zephlar has taken his second fall here on Ganon, unfortunately, having a little bit of a hard time with this Silverless. You opened up the portal for Turtle Rock and saw that it was Ether. You confirmed, okay, I just need flippers, and you decided to go into Turtle Rock before checking Hookshot Cave or Super Bunny Cave. Was that just calculated? You said, hey, I gotta get in here right away. It's probably in here. It's not so bad to not go mode this dungeon. What was your thought process once you arrived right there on top of Turtle Rock?
Well, I think really what it came down to was, go mode Turtle Rock is not much faster than full clearing Turtle Rock. It's basically just the bridge. Now this was the case that we got all the keys up front. So, in the end, it would have saved me a little bit of time. I wouldn't have to check Laser Bridge.
Yep.
But yeah, it was one of those that you save yourself a minute and a half and not, because there's no way I was going to check Bunny Cave or Hookshot Cave if the flippers were in Turtle Rock. So that's, a minute and a half here versus full clearing Turtle Rock, which is a minute and a half. So it's hit and miss on that one. I just figured, you know what? It's probably in Turtle Rock. It always is. It's the last check in Laser Bridge or in the big key chest or something like that. And, in the end, it cost a minute or so, but I think that was definitely a conscious decision.
Yeah, and it wasn't so bad. I'm not trying to call it a bad decision. And certainly, I don't know how you normally route Turtle Rock in Go mode, but this particular key layout, if you skip the big chest when you are in Go mode after stealing the key from the Pokey, it would have been the wrong Turtle Rock to do that because the small key was in the big chest. So it actually might have even potentially saved a little bit of trouble, you going in there first and not doing it in Go mode, depending on how you route. I don't know how you normally route Turtle Rock in Go mode, but...
Well, in this case, I would have opened the big chest anyway, because I still would have... Yeah, let's put it this way. I usually open up the big chest, depending on my keys, regardless of what it is, because I have missed in Laser Bridge before.
Yep.
And then, unfortunately, you have to mirror back all the way to back at the beginning, and then you're losing that much time. So it's not the end of the world to go 15, 20 seconds to go around the outside and do it. I would usually do that.
Yeah.
I wonder, did you give any thought at all? I think I know the answer, but did you give any thought at all to Aghanim when you were getting down there with just a couple locations? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. If it was anything other than the Moon Pearl, I would have done it.
Yep.
I probably would have done it. It's only for the fact it was a Moon Pearl. So, I mean, it's one place, the other. So you might as well full clear because, you're wasting 4 minutes. If it was the Power Glove or the Hammer, I would have been in Aga 10 minutes sooner.
Yeah, but definitely had the feeling of an Agaseed. But without that Moon Pearl, like you said, that's a long... It might be a long check to go to Zora. It's a long check to go to Pyramid Ledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no... If the Moon Pearl's the one item, I will full clear everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we were gathering as well.
Unfortunately, we had Zephlar take a death there. He's really determined to get through this Ganon fight. Clearly, not super comfortable with the Silverless strats, but he's sticking with it. He's going to give it another try here. We'll see as he tries to finish up. Gotta respect him for sticking with it.
Oh no. Those circles of fire bats are the worst.
Once you start to... Ganon's one of those things that once it starts going poorly, it really snowballs on you, and you can string a lot of deaths together. I think everybody's had that Ganon fight before, where it's just one death after another, and then another fall, and just the fight that never ends.
It really is a rough fight if you don't know the inner workings of it.
Yeah, it's a tough one to master for sure. So, BigDunka, you are 4-2 now through 6 rounds. You've got an extra week here, getting this match in very early in this round. You've got 2 weeks to kind of sit and wait to see who your 4-2 opponent will be in the winner moves on, loser goes home match a couple weeks from now. How are you feeling about that match and about the tournament in general?
Well, it depends. When are we going to play? When you're done with yours?
Hey, you're assuming a win from me, which let's not get ahead of anybody here.
We joke. I mean, it's all I could ask for. I mean, after losing the rounds 3 and 4, I mean, playing without a net the whole time. So, I mean, this is obviously what we're going for here. I feel like there's no reason I can't win the last round. There's so many good racers just even in the 3-2 bracket right now. It's ridiculous. So, what are you going to do? I mean, there's nothing you can do at this point. You just got to go for it and, hope that, you play, execute well, and what else are you going to do? But the good news is there's 2 weeks, which means I can play Key Sanity for 2 weeks or something like that.
You're in great shape for that.
I was expecting something like maybe I can actually work on my execution for it. I mean, your execution.
Oh no!
Your execution has been great this season. You really
this one was
just
actually
rushed through it.
Yeah, this one was pretty good until the end. I made a couple of little, and then obviously the torch glitch was a big deal. But I almost fell off. I was this close. I was sitting in my item menu and I was thinking about it because I knew I didn't have my blue because I had to burn my blue in GT. I'm like, I got nothing. And then I actually got paranoid at the end there and started using lamp until I got at least 5 or 6 shots in, and then I switched off. So, but yeah, no NMG for me, guys. Not yet.
2 weeks of NMG is not something not going to exactly calm your nerves before a big elimination match. So wait till the tournament's over. Wait till you get a nice deep bracket run, then you can try some NMG at that point.
I was mostly kidding. Just so you know, but really, I thought you really looked good this race.
Much appreciated. I appreciate it.
Zephlar gets Ganon down.
Nice.
Get your GGs in chat for Zephlar. That was a tough, hard-fought Ganon fight, and he was very close. The final times are not going to be indicative of how close this seed was. If not for the Skullwoods full clear, and if not for missing the boots through no fault of his own, it's just how the routing ended up. There was no way for him to really find those boots once he hit go mode. Really, just the Skullwoods clear and those boots, and just a couple little small things. Other than that, this was very close. And I do believe Zephlar is joining us here for an interview. GG, Zephlar.
Hey, GG.
Good game, dude.
I'm sorry about my game that you guys are probably seeing it in ridiculously slow motion. When I changed settings on my computer, which I was doing because I knew I was going to jump in here, sometimes my emulator decides it wants to do this. So
that's
so
quite
you
all
have to
right.
watch the credits in 1 frame a second.
I'm going to see the king longer than we've ever seen, so it's worth it.
Yeah, so that was something. It was great until the last 15 minutes or so for me, but that was a lot of fun. That seed,
Yeah, that seed. It took you guys a number of dungeons and a number of locations before you were able to find that moon pearl and get yourselves access to the Dark World. It was obviously the last possible location for both of you going to Zora.
I'm glad that I didn't turn around and decide to do Aghanim, because I was going back and forth. I was like, man, it's not going to be at Zora, and I'm just going to be mad that I walked all the way up here. But I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, and once you guys were in that Dark World, I mean, not too many checks required before you were one item from go mode, and then it was just a hunt for the flippers.
Yeah, when I found the flippers, and I hadn't seen either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock yet, so I didn't know that. I was like, now that I have these flippers, I'm just gonna go look at these 2 medallion things and see if I need to keep hunting for Mamos or not. And luckily I didn't. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think really the only thing that you did over BigDunka was your Skullwoods clear. But aside from that, once you were in the Dark World, you basically took the same route, and you actually entered go mode before BigDunka.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, the only real big differences, you started your Dark World route with, you both started your Dark World route at Hype Cave, and then you began at Skull Woods following that, while Dunka began at Thieves Town. So Dunka found those Titans bits very early, and I think that convinced him, I don't need to check that much more of the overworld here. I'm going to finish Thieves and continue on to the Mire area. You cleared
out dungeons.
Right, so you cleared out Skullwoods, which is entirely reasonable. You're right there. You have the fire rod. You a lot of the dark overworld is still locked to you with no mitts. So you cleared that dungeon, and then BigDunka, after clearing Thieves, went to Mire and actually dove in Mire, and he found the boots in the big chest in Mire. So that he was maybe a minute or 2 ahead at that point, and the boots allowed him to grow his lead to maybe 6 or 7 minutes by the time he'd actually finished Ganon. But other than those 2 things, I mean, you guys were neck and neck, and you actually did enter Go mode a little bit sooner. You just still had to come back down the mountain to do Mire, which Dunka had already done by the time he hit Go mode.
And Boots is a huge difference for like Ice Palace and Swamp Palace and Go mode.
And Ganon's Tower for that matter too.
Ganon's Tower was crazy. Yeah, I after Thieves Town, I was trying to decide if I wanted to do Mire or Turtle Rock, and even though Turtle Rock would have been nice to get at the end after or on my way to Ganon's Tower, like the fact that Dark Death Mountain and Turtle Rock together is like 10 items, and the Mire area was, like you could go into Pendant Desert Palace, which I didn't really want to do, and the Mire area was only like 5 items, and so I decided to go up to Death Mountain instead and check that, which theoretically paid off because I found the flippers real quick and was able to Go mode 4 dungeons in a row. But yeah, oh well.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would not call it a mistake to say, not that you missed Boots or anything like that. Certainly once you come back to Mire, nobody in their right mind is going to find the big key and then go to the big chest just to check what's in there. So there was no reason for you to find them. It's just the way that you decided to route was perfectly reasonable. You hit Go mode first. It's just that there happened to be one item that would have been very handy that if you'd somehow done Mire first. And honestly, I mean, it did cause Dunka to check a couple more spots. He did go into Desert and find both items in there because he'd gotten the Boots in Mire. He just mirrored and did Desert, and then he did check the Bonk Rock spots and things like that. So it wasn't all a positive of him just finding that, but yeah, there are obviously when you're in Go mode and a couple of those dungeons, all of the Boots do make a good amount of difference in it. And I don't know about you, I always hate doing Ganon's Tower with no Boots just because you almost always have the Boots when you're there, and some of those rooms just feel really strange not having them. You had some low health through a lot of the gauntlet. You were on the precipice of maybe taking a death up that gauntlet, but you made it all the way up.
Finding that blue potion was
right as you were picking up. We were saying maybe he's going to check for a health refill in some of these chests, and you found that blue potion at the perfect time.
And I was pretty
I thought about continuing to open chests because, it would be nice. Even at this late stage, Boots would be nice. Also, silver arrows, which I have since figured out is in Swamp Palace because Ganon told me. But clearly I need to practice up on my silverless Ganon after falling 4 times or whatever and dying once or twice. But at a certain point, I was just like, I've already lost the race, so I'm just gonna keep at it until I finish this thing. It's nice to know that I didn't lose because I spent like 10 minutes fighting Ganon. He had finished before that point.
Yeah, that would definitely be the worst way to lose. But yeah, Silverless Ganon is definitely pretty important to learn, but it is a really tough fight. You do need to... Yeah, it takes a lot to get down.
All right, well, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you guys for commentating and the restreamer and the tracker and everybody. You guys do all this extra work, and that's super awesome. So thank you.
We've got the fun job. You have the hard one. You've got all the pressure. So thanks. Without you, no race. So GG on the race. Thanks for running this. And still one more round left in the tournament. Hopefully, finish it out and can get to that 4-3 mark. Feel good going out of here.
Absolutely. All right.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for the race, and have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so if you all like what you've seen here, click that follow button. Follow all the Speed Gaming Networks and channels. This is the very beginning of a 2-week round 6 of this tournament. Plenty more races to come the rest of this week, next week. All hours of the day, all channels, Speed Gaming's 1 through 6. Link to the past randomizer 1, 2, I don't even remember how many they're up to, but click follow on all these. Give these runners specifically a follow. They put on a good show on a very cool seed to play, and this was a great race. So if you're looking for more Link to the Past randomizer action, you guys know where to find it. I think we actually have it looks like there's a race wrapping up towards the end on the main Speed Gaming channel, and coming up in just 10 minutes we've got 2 races starting on A Link to the Past Randomizer 2 and Speed Gaming 2. So if you haven't gotten your fill of Randomizer yet, head on over there, check out those races just about to get going.
Yeah, there's definitely some good races coming up. You can binge watch all you want. You might have to get a monitor or two extra just to get your fill. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some hype matchups the coming few weeks. And once you get to round 7, all the 4-2 matchups are just going to be ridiculous. I am glad I am not on that bubble.
So many hype elimination matches. This was just the first one of the week. So many more to come, so many more next week, and we've also got 5-0 matches, the top tier players matching up against each other, trying to get to that 7-0 mark, make it through the Swiss stage undefeated. So there's so much more action to come this week, next week, and weeks to follow. So we're really getting to the fun part of this tournament. I know you guys have a lot of fun watching this, but keep watching. It's a lot of fun to work on these behind the scenes and all that. So on behalf of my excellent co-commentator everywhere, I'm Wayne, our great tracker today, OSS Geek. Awesome work, staying on top of everything, making us look good. And GG's to the runners and everybody else behind the scenes making this happen. Again, stay tuned to Speed Gaming 2 channel or Link to the Past Randomizer 2 with races coming up, or just stay tuned here and there's more speed gaming action in general quickly to follow. Everybody have a good night, afternoon, morning, wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good day.